Emily from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for March 2024. So on March 25th, we are going to have our very last astro event for this month, which is a doozy. It is the full moon lunar eclipse taking place in Libra energy. So first of all, it will be taking place at 5 degrees and it is going to reach its maximum peak potency at 3 a.m. again, Eastern Standard Time. So we have a lot to unpack here, and normally I would encourage you to download the moon guide. However, I've done away with the moon guides after about 12-15 years of just repeating myself. I have reached a certain level of boredom where I just had to go and get rid of the moon guide altogether. But there is still a deep dive that we are doing. I'm basically embodying the title of Moon Guide. And if you want to join me either on my website through the Moon Guide subscription or on my Patreon, I will be doing a deep dive in this particular moon event. We're going to dissect it, what it means for the collective, how it is that you can see where it's going to manifest in your own individual life by walking through and dissecting your own individual chart. So if you want to do a deep dive, please join me either on my website or over on Patreon for that particular episode. This is definitely going to be more of an interactive type of lesson, let's say, an approach to learning about how these moon energies are going to affect us. But in this particular video, we are going to cover the highs, the lows, the everything in between. We're just not going to go as deep, let's say, in the chart depictions as I will in those other episodes. This is the third of 6 eclipse energies that we are going to be experiencing on this Aries and Libran axis. We still have many, many moon events to go before the collective is going to reach the karmic lesson point that the Aries and Libran axis is meant to teach us. And of course, we jumped into this back in July of 2023. That's when the nodes of the moon officially took up space here on the Libra and Aries axis. However, we did get a taste, an opening of this particular life lesson back in October of 2022. And so we are bringing things full circle. There is a whole eclipse series, if you're interested, on going back to even when the nodes of the moon were on the Taurus and Scorpio axis over on my Patreon as well in the Astro Class series. But we have been talking a lot about what eclipse season is all about. And basically, it's when the universe takes control, really steps into the driver's seat, so to speak, and sorts us out and puts us on a path that we didn't even know that we needed to be on. Eclipse energy is a wild card event. We have to expect the unexpected. And because this is a full moon, there's likely going to be a full illumination or reaching a full awareness of certain aha moments, epiphanies, thoughts, ideas, and emotions, all revolving around relationship dynamics. Of course, the Aries energy wants us to be a little bit more independent, to get to know thyself a little bit better, to anchor into what we need to do for ourselves in order to reach our own soul's mission, purpose, goals. But of course, the Libran energy has us focused on relationships. And because this is a South Node lunar event, meaning South Node in Libran energy, that is our past. That's what we have to let go of. That's what we have to override, which is people pleasing, which is pouring too much into other people and not into ourselves enough. And where it is that, typically speaking, we dim our light, we put our own wants, needs, and desires on the back burner in order to make other people happy or to be accepted or loved by the people that we deem to be of worth and value. So, of course, this is a lunar eclipse. Typically speaking, a lunar eclipse closes the door on something. It's an ending point, a closure point. Now, something could be removed from our lives, and if something is being removed from our lives, especially people, relationships falling apart, we likely will perceive that as a loss, as some sort of punishment, as some sort of thing to kind of cry over, grieve over, when realistically speaking, might take a couple of months for us to truly understand it, but this is a gift. So you really have to pay attention to who is coming and who is going around this particular point in time, because this is all divinely scripted for our highest point of potential, which means that if you are losing people, if there are relationship dynamics coming to an end, They were no longer meant for you. You have reached the maximum potential of growth, of evolution, of life lesson through that particular dynamic, and therefore it's time to go. Now, you could have people coming into your life at this particular point in time. Again, don't jump too quickly into it. We want to act as the observer because wackadoodle things happen in eclipse season. But again, karmically fated interactions, karmically fated connections. Why? Because we're moving into a new karmic chapter that requires new vibrational people to come in to teach us different life lessons that the old people could not. And so there is a lot of movement. There is a lot of back and forth. We do have to really just understand that everything is happening for us, not to us, and that this is just the very beginnings of what is going to be a long drawn out play over not only just the next month of eclipse energies, but again, we're diving into another eclipse season here in the fall. And this particular Aries and Libra axis karmic lesson will not be completed until March of 2025. So we still have plenty of work to do. So this particular energy is all about us finding balance. Again, Libra energy, finding peace, not only within ourselves, but within the world around us. Harmony between our heart and our head, between us and the people around us. This is about identifying the areas of life that have been crazy and chaotic, have been out of whack, because that is what we have to focus on, restoring the balance of first and foremost. Yes, this has a lot to do with relationship dynamics, but first of all, the relationship that you have with yourself, your higher self, because again, all the relationship dynamics that you have out in the physical realm, out in your exterior realm, is merely a reflection of the state of the relationship that you have within yourself. And so when you kind of understand that everything, especially in Libra energy, acts as a mirror in your external realm in order to show you the wounds that still need to be healed within yourself, this is going to be an aha moment, an epiphany, a game changer. Now, not that I want to go into too much depth and detail here, but I did a whole astro rant about Mercury and Chiron, and of course the North Node is there as well. We're in a very unique window of opportunity to flip the script and really examine our past pain and trauma, the patterns and behaviors. And especially under this full moon lunar eclipse in Libra, this is going to be the patterns and behaviors that we've been repeating in our relationship dynamics, especially where pain and trauma and wounds are concerned, because that's what we're here to do, is to fix them, heal them, and repair them, to grow out of them, to evolve them, to turn them into a state of empowerment. I'm definitely going to recommend that you take a listen to that rant over on my Patreon as well, because it's going to give you a bigger, broader picture of our ability to flip the script through this eclipse season. But also just a reminder that the full moon lunar eclipse in Libra energy is actually the point, the climactic point, if you will, that we began back under the new moon in Pisces. And that was like March 10th. And so we had a shift at that particular point in time, a download, if you will, on new ideas, new inspirations, new passions, new dreams, new vision. And since then, we've been whittling away the old fragmented part of self that, of course, isn't going to support that major leap forward, that major jump in evolving. And we've been getting rid of that particular part of self. Now, we reached the first quarter moon in Gemini energy just about a week ago. That was a choice point. That was a launching point. That was an action point where the very dualistic and polarized decisions, choices, and options available to us now became one that was more favorable over the other. And under this full moon lunar eclipse in Libra energy, again, we've been doing the processing. We've been releasing those fragmented parts of self. We've been anchoring in this new version of self that is still very raw and real and vulnerable because it's not familiar. We don't know what to expect yet with this new version of self, but in this Libra influence, we are going to find a new grounding point within us. So, of course, the sun is in Aries energy, opposing the full moon in Libra. This is what's giving us our full moon energy. And the eclipse energy is just like an extra level of steroids, so to speak. We are also in opposition with Neptune in his place of power in Pisces, really reminding us of what it is that we've dreamt about, what it is that we've imagined, what it is that we want to conjure up and manifest, again, taking us back to that new moon in Pisces. One of the key factor players in this particular moon event is Pluto, the great transformer himself. He's in Aquarius energy, really pushing us to capture a goal, a vision, a dream for the future, especially where it is that we could do better, what it is that we could improve upon. And because this is in the emotional realm, again, the moon is our emotions, this has a great ability to really have us focus in on the narrative that we have been operating from, typically speaking, the wounded ego narrative that has manifested in our relationship dynamics. And again, this is a major change, a major transformation in our mood, in our attitude, by examining where it is that we've fallen victim to the unconscious programming and conditioning of our upbringing and how that is manifested in our relationship dynamics. We are acting as the observer in that Aquarius energy, and we're really trying to turn that pain into a source of power. And so again, there are all kinds of different energies kind of teaming up. We have Venus and Saturn doing its thing. We just received a little bit of a harsh reality check over this last week on where it is that our heart and our head are now making some major changes. Our values, our priorities are changing, especially where relationship dynamics are concerned. There's a collapsing, a deconstruction, if you will, of certain relationship dynamics so that we can build stronger ones, better ones in the place of the ones that, of course, we've outgrown, that are no longer supporting our growth, our evolvement. We also have Jupiter, the planet of growth and expansion, teaming up with Uranus, again approaching their immediate conjunction here when we jump into April. This is a huge amount of growth and a sudden awakening. That's what Uranus brings to the table, is like this aha moment, this epiphany, where we can adopt new methods, adopt new ideas, adopt a new vision, a new goal, new dream. And Jupiter in this Taurus energy is there, ready, set, albeit low and slow, to grow, to push our comfort zone, to push our boundaries, where we have to switch things up, make a major change in our physical realm in order for it to not only look good, but to feel good. Again, allowing our higher self to really take the lead. And so there's all kinds of things kind of popping off under this particular eclipse, under this full moon, that is going to show us where it is that we have to put a little bit of extra time, energy, and effort into resolving some of these relationship dynamics, either within ourselves that we're projecting out in our relationship dynamics, or that are taking place in our exterior relationships that should be mirroring back the wounds, the pain, the trauma that we're still acting out of from our inner realm, from our unconscious realm. This is going to be a time where things are going to feel super intense, super extreme, in order for us to be pushed into our power. And heads up, in typical human fashion, our backs normally need to be against a wall before we're going to make a major move to break away from the circumstance that has been very suffocating for us, that has had us feeling very trapped in a lot of ways. This is our attempt to free ourselves from that unbalanced energy. So again, just thinking about the Aries and Libra axis, the Aries energy wants us to be a little bit more comfortable with who it is that we are independently, while the Libra energy, again, wants us, pulling us back into the South Node energy, wants us to stick what is tried, tested, true, and familiar, which is codependent relationships. Again, pouring too much into other people and not enough into ourselves. So this is definitely going to highlight the conflict, the disagreement, the gap between what it is that you want as an individual and what it is that, quote unquote, we want as a team, as a group, as a partnership. There are conflicting goals, conflicting dreams and visions, and at this particular point in time, there are conflicting paths that are going to either A, honor us as individuals, or B, honor us as a partnership. And our goal is to find some sort of compromise in between the two so that we can still remain an individual while still being part of a partnership, still honoring our own wants, needs, and desires for our individual spiritual growth, while still kind of honoring the obligations and commitments that we've made to other people. So this is definitely going to skew the way that we've been looking at ourselves, the way that we've been looking at our relationship dynamics, the worth, the value that we're seeing in other people, and trying to find a new grounding point, new launching point, new balance point on how it is that we can honor ourselves and those that we love.